Muchachos y muchachas. So this story, right? It came out days ago, but I thought it would be more beneficial to see the transformative after effects of what would happen in this situation. What I'm talking about is the Old Dominion professor, Alan Walker. This professor has since received so much backlash for this claim. I believe it was from a book that was written by this professor that claims that, you know, the act of being attracted to children shouldn't be stigmatized, that it's actually, they should actually get help, and that, you know, we shouldn't call them the P word, which is pedophiles. We shouldn't call them that word, in other words, what they are, but we should actually call them minor attracted persons. If you know anything about the past few years, you've seen this culture transform itself pretty rapidly, but I think a little bit more intense in the recent too. And you've seen how there have even been a little bit of a more intense push towards kids when it comes to indoctrination, curriculum, culture. And I'm not surprised to see this actually happen. In fact, we've been calling it out for a long time. Stay right there. We're going to go through it. As far back as history can track, humans have tried to reverse aging. We hate seeing our faces age, and while some solutions do work, most of them fall short. However, myself and thousands of others have successfully watched our skin look and feel younger. Our secret is called Glow with Natly. This product seems to be the only anti-aging serum that works out of the dozens I've tried. 3 things happened when I started taking it. Firstly, my skin appeared firmer. Secondly, my complexion brightened. Third, my skin became softer and smoother. Take Glow with Natly and get your glow back. This Black Friday, go to 𝑔lowwithnatly.com or click the link below to get up to 38% off your order today. All right, muchachos y muchachas, now that we're back, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. And what I'm going to do is actually give you guys an example of how this is affecting culture. I don't think a lot of people are going to catch my example because I don't think a lot of people are in the movies, but let me just, you know, I want to bring this example up because, you know, because people are not in the movies and maybe their children will go to the movies instead. I just want to brief you on what's going on in one example. But let's go to this matter first. So, Old Dominion University, there's a professor who claims in a book that Alan Walker, that's the professor's name, penned, that we as a society need to basically destigmatize pedos, and we need to not call them pedos, we need to call them minor attracted people, okay? Now, if you know anything about fringe culture, if you've been watching culture for the past few years, you know about this group, and they are on the fringe. They are on the fringe because these are people that want to outright come out with their attraction to children. They want to be classified and filed in the LGBT community as a sexual preference. I mean, it's a big dark hole that these people go down and what they believe. So this professor basically wants to, you know, basically take that, I don't know what to call it, the fringe belief that they should be out in society, they should be open about their, what she calls sexuality, that they should be able to come out and not be shamed. And on top of that, this professor believes that in order for them to deal with their sexual urges towards children, they should be given child sex dolls. I'm not even kidding. This is what this professor believes. This is coming from Daily Mail. Alan Walker, 34 years old, is an assistant professor of sociology and criminal justice at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. The non-binary teacher claimed in a recent interview to promote their new book and that pedos should not be ostracized, and that they can't help who they are attracted to, and that they should also be given childlike sex dolls to satisfy their urges. Okay, pause, stop right there. Pause. Let's just talk about this really quick, okay? Firstly, let's talk about this because this person is speaking in a sense that we essentially should be categorizing this as a sexual preference, what it boils down to. Okay. Now, if you're a human being of any sort, you're just a plain old human being, you know that if you have urges of anything, you're going to act upon them. Okay. If it's a addiction urge, or if it's, your urge to go shopping, urge to, you just feel this urge, right? You're going to act upon that urge. Okay. So my commentary here is, you fight for these sick people to have this dominion style thinking that they should be in society, mixing with children, that they should be able to have a free attraction to children, and just give them this inanimate object to deal with their urges. So my question is, how long until these people act upon those urges, crossing boundaries? Because again, they can use these inanimate objects as they deal with their urges, but how long until they want the real thing? Because that's what they're attracted to. This is a no-go red zone. Absolutely not. We can't even give any sort of leeway to this type of thinking. This is dangerous. And, even to the fact that, children should just be left alone. You know what I mean? Like, our culture has just shifted so much where we're trying to implement this sort of thinking, this sort of curriculum in schools, that they should start thinking about, sexual stuff, sexualization. And they really ought to be thinking about how to spell, how to multiply and add and subtract, the basics, right? This type of thinking is it is so dangerous to even give leeway for people to think that the sick people like this that are attracted to children, to think that they should be able to do what they do and not be ostracized from society. It's a fringe thing that existed. I mean, even I would say like a few years ago, this was like the most fringe extreme thinking. And now this professor is trying to make this a mainstream thing. Well, this professor actually got a lot of backlash. And initially, there was no action caused by the university to take this person out of position, until there was a lot of backlash. A lot of people gave backlash to the university. I believe this professor disabled their accounts on Twitter at the very least. And sorry, I knocked something over. And, it's very strange that a university is not taking that type of action. And it really speaks a lot of the university more than the actual person. Walker, formerly known as Allison, made the comments in an interview to promote their book, Long Dark Shadow, Minor Attracted People in Their Pursuit of Dignity. In their pursuit of dignity, really. Pedos and their pursuit of dignity. Like, imagine those two in one sentence. Horrible. They believe pedos should be referred as minor attracted people, and they don't choose who they're attracted to. So it shouldn't be considered immoral. I'm telling you. Listen, and here's my other argument too. With the LGBT community, I think a lot of people will say we can't control like adults who want to, choose their sexuality. There are people that can combat the ideology. But at the end of the day, grown adults are going to do what grown adults want to do. But this is my argument in this, this culture is, definitions, they keep getting changed every day. It's malleable, it's changeable. And, I wish that this is one of the conversations we could actually have with these communities in a civil discourse to actually understand each other. Because again, within that community, it's like, you have this leeway to think that people can choose their genders. They can choose, however they're feeling that day, that's their gender. And even that, it's confusing because there's like, more than 70, more than 100. How are you supposed to remember all these genders, And there's even legislation that would suggest that if if you don't respect their pronouns, like, you can probably even get criminalized for it, and it's moving towards that at the very least. So, my argument is, like, and I'm just putting this in perspective for this community that, that won't have a conversation. There are some that will, and some people actually see straight that are in this community. And I don't mean, no pun intended, I mean, see clearly, see the truth for what it is. But here's the thing. What is stopping this fringe group from filing and categorizing themselves in the LGBT community if they call it a sexual preference? You know what I mean? There's just so many bends and mends and, so many open gray areas that it actually allows for this type of thinking. I am glad in this instance that the LGBT community is speaking out against it and that they are calling this reprehensible. So continued on, the university, they're standing by Walker. They're standing by this professor. They're not firing them. In fact, they took no action until there was public outcry on the circulated video. At first, the school said they didn't agree with them, but that they would keep their role, that they would keep this professor's role. Although we don't agree with you, you can stay here. That dangerous thinking. Then on Tuesday, the university charges $31,000 per year out of state student for, they charge a lot for students out of state, partly buckled to public outrage and placed Walker on leave, saying it was for their own safety. So if it's for their own safety, why not fire the professor? Does that make any sense to you? They penned an entire book. Like, this is an entire thesis that this professor, penned. So do you think that they're going to be safe once they come back? Just some questions. Students and others, including 5,000 people who signed the Change.org petition, think Allen deserves to be fired, and they're demanding to know why the university won't end their employment. When presented with those questions, a university spokesman told Daily Mail, "Your questions address private personnel matters. That is our policy not to discuss publicly." So these are just some comments coming out of the whole situation. Some students. It saddens me that other professors and students have been kicked off campus for less, and hopefully I have a really hard time pronouncing this acronym for whatever reason. ODU will take the correct course of action. I'm still confused why this double standard exists. I'm baffled and disappointed that an individual with those beliefs would even be allowed to have a job on campus where children interact frequently, Grant Rimmer, a human services major and junior, told dailymail.com on Wednesday. Very fitting. Human resources. It's okay to research it. It's okay to find out this information. It's not okay to sympathize and create a term to blanket what pedophiles really are, student Jenny Piatkowski told 𝘱𝑗. It was a local news station. So 5,000 people have actually signed this petition to remove the professor. In the professor's book, this is what they claim. The second chapter of their book, Leading Double Life, Staying Closeted and Coming Out as MAP, is grossly misappropriating the traumas that the LGBT people exclusively endure as a natural part of their lived experience because of stigma. And this is what an LGBT person or out of the community had to say. To liken these traumas to the holistically unrelated experiences of pedos, there are no words to describe the violations and damage Walker's irresponsible choice in words have done to their community writ large and specifically at ODU. The LGBT community has long fought against the stigma that so wrongly aligns us with the notions of sexual deviance. We have fought against this stigma while also bearing the increased vulnerability to and prevalence experiencing sexual and emotional trauma that being sexual and gender minority brings. Walker's misappropriation of exclusively queer experiences in their book has reignited the ignorant assumption that LGBTQ individuals as sexual deviants and unfounded association with pedos. So this is just the outcry right here, as you can see. All these people, all these students just rebutting and responding. So, this is an example that I wanted to bring forth to your attention. So, this was a couple weeks ago. I was invited to the movies by a family member, and I don't typically hang out with this family member too much. So I thought it was a great, opportunity to hang out with them. And of course, I haven't been to the movies, and I think it's been a long time. I think like a year and a half, 2 years, I haven't been to the movies, especially from what we found out about, we keep finding out about certain celebrities and Hollywood and all that. So I have really steered away from going to the movies and supporting, such an industry. But I did hang out with my family member, and we went to go watch The Eternals. First of all, I had no idea that movies were still even in production. I thought they shut everything down. I thought that that productions were halted last year during the Plan-Apocalypse. I just thought that nothing was being made, but apparently this Marvel movie was. So The Eternals, basically, you can think of them like an ancient Power Rangers. That's like the best concise description I can give you. They're like an ancient Power Rangers. They've been around for a long time. They protect humanity, through and through ages. So anyway, ancient Power Rangers. Now, within one of these Eternals, as they call them, there was a Eternal by the name of Sprite. Sprite was what seemed to be a young person who was trapped in a young person body for thousands of years, because the Eternals, they were supposedly around for thousands of years. Now, what I found very uncomfortable in the plot, and, I don't know if this is going to spoil the movie for you, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But so something that I found really uncomfortable in this movie is that this character Sprite was trapped in a little girl's body, right? And so Sprite has been a superhero, an Eternal, through all this time. And it comes to a point of the movie where all of the Eternals are starting to realize, oh, wait, she loves that Eternal. And it's like a grown ass man. Like it's a grown dude. And I know like the concept of the Eternals is that they're living for thousands of years, but even so, I found this, and I don't think I've seen anybody talk about this, but just the illustration of a little girl in love with an older man and kind of following him on mission to, do what they were going to do in the movie. And I mean that in a battle sense, they were en route to battle. So anyway, I found that part super duper disturbing. And I don't think a lot of people caught this part, but the fact that they're even putting this in a movie, that there is a grown woman trapped in a little girl's body that falls in love with this grown dude who looks like a grown dude, acts like a grown dude. This is clearly a little girl, even the actress is a little girl. And it's like, we're even just putting this idea out there that you can be any age and love at any age. Like, I just thought that was, and it was a really quick part of the movie, but I caught it and I was like, I cannot believe that more people are not talking about this part of the movie. It was very disturbing. So, I know that this was like just a very small injected idea in the movie. And I wanted to just bring that to your attention, and I bring that to your attention because, again, there was a lot of, look at my fingers, modern ideas that were instilled in this movie, modern ideas of family instilled in this movie. And, that was, to me, a motif of the ever-changing, rapidly infiltrated ideologies, agendas, propaganda that we're being faced with today, including this type of subject. So anyway, guys, I know this is a lot, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's here, it's here. They passed that bill. I think they signed it into law in California. It was like it was a big deal last year. SB something. It was written by Scott Wiener, a representative in California, calling for the lesser punishment of grown adults in statutory rape. And hey, like, it's here. Shit, this is just me sharing the news with you guys. So anyway, Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for loving me, supporting the channel. And you can also support the channel by liking, sharing, subscribing, and telling somebody about it. I'll catch you guys in my next episode. And also remember, I have a podcast at 9:30 p.m. Central at Unravel with Natly Denise channel. I will catch you guys there later.